So, Rubio, I think Rubio, so far, really sounded strong. He sounded like the old Rubio that wasn't acting childish and laughing and like a old drunk college frat boy. He actually came across presidential tonight, so far.
So he didn't act like a homosexual at a phone party? Is that what you're saying?
No, he didn't act like the homosexual at the phone party. And has that ever been kind of ironed out?
Has it ever been ironed out? Did he ever get the foam out of those pants?
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live.
You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris and Trey from We Are America Radio, Red State Talk Radio, Buzz Radio Network. I want to thank you for joining us on the battlefield today, and we're here to fix a machine. I heard some very interesting dialogue as the adults were actually debating tonight.
The adults debating tonight, huh?
Yeah, they actually sounded like adults. Of course, I was only able to watch, the first hour or so of the debate.
Well, it's probably, Chris, because everybody up there is now afraid to criticize anything about Donald Trump because it's a death wish for your campaign.
Do you think it's just it's Donald Trump, or do you just think acting, going out and acting kind of a childish generally is the problem?
I don't know. I mean, who actually can get up at a press conference after a bunch of victories, use another company's meat claiming it's Trump steaks, saying that you have a company called Trump Water that is the same water that provides water at your local gas station, that has a magazine called Trump Magazine that actually has been out of circulation for several years. And was there any other? Oh, and then claimed that Trump Airlines was he sold it and made a bunch. As a matter of fact, it was a great airline. I mean, like who else can say those sorts of outright fabrications, get away with it, and be like, yeah, whatever.
Well, I mean, that's kind of been the run-of-the-mill of most of what he's been doing this whole campaign. I mean, he basically flat-out lied and said in this debate here that Ted Cruz supported amnesty. At no time has Ted Cruz ever supported amnesty. The only thing that you could argue that Ted Cruz was a little weak on was the H-1B visa. He was in favor at one point. He flip-flopped on it.
And also you could say the TPP. He was for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and then, I became a staunch opponent of it. But at first, he was for it.
Your audio is popping in and out, Trey.
I'm popping in and out. Okay,
yeah, something's going on your end. Only when you talk.
Sorry.
So,
is that better?
Yeah. Well, we'll see, I guess. So one of the things that I did a lot of tweeting. If you haven't checked us out yet on Twitter, you can go to @LanternsBuzz and you can find us there. At one point, I thought that they actually woke up John Kasich. Was waiting to see him wipe a little drool from his face.
At one point, you thought they woke him up?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't go to him for a while, and then they went back to him. He's like, he kind of stumbled around like he had just woken up. So Rubio, I think Rubio so far really sounded strong. He sounded like the old Rubio that wasn't acting childish and laughing and like a old drunk college frat boy. He actually came across presidential tonight so far.
So he didn't act like a homosexual at a phone party? Is that what you're saying?
No, he didn't act like the homosexual at the phone party. And has that ever been kind of ironed out?
Has it ever been ironed out? Did he ever get the foam out of those pants?
I don't know, dude. Maybe he's foaming in there.
I don't know. I just thought it was funny that, Trump supporters who hate Marco Rubio and the establishment basically always throw up the gay foam party that.
So are you saying that he is foaming like a Lake Pontchartrain crab?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, there's a lot of young Cuban men who probably look like Marco Rubio when he was 20.
Okay, so here's the real big question here, Trey. If it was Hillary against Rubio, and they found proof that Rubio was dancing at a gay foam party, would you vote for Rubio?
Over Hillary Clinton?
Over Hillary Clinton.
Well, yeah, I'd vote for Rubio. Rubio could probably murder somebody at this point if it just comes down to him and Hillary against Charlie Manson. I'm probably going to Manson.
Dude, you just went all Trumpkin on us. You realize that?
Look, we don't have. What choice do we have?
Hey, look, we all have had our phone party days, right?
Oh, listen, I'm not mad at phone parties. Okay, I'm just saying.
We don't want to isolate our phone party fans out in the audience.
Who's into phone parties or hot tub parties, any kind of parties, Ronald McDonald birthday parties, whatever.
Hey, Gene Baradelli had the hit of the CPAC convention, made Vanity Fair, and I'm sure that his large audience some of his audience may be listening to the show tonight, so we have to be careful.
All right.
We don't want to be,
I ain't hating.
Don't be hating on the hot tubbers. So anyway, they got into this discussion about trade, which I thought was a fascinating exchange between Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, and they both made very, very good points. And I actually had a very similar discussion. Wish I had the audio here, but I had a very similar discussion with a guy that I work with, and he was in favor, or he is in favor, of a similar plan that Trump has put forward as far as his tariffs. And the case that Trump made, and the case that this coworker of mine made, was that if the tariffs actually bring businesses back to the United States, then we'll be spending the money here, so the prices eventually would go down. Right? The case against it, and what Cruz is saying.
So that simple.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, how else can you? I mean, there's evidence out there, and my argument, there's evidence out there that this has failed miserably. Smoot-Hawley, which was passed in 1930, on this date, believe it or not, ironically, Smoot-Hawley arguably brought us to the Great Depression. Because there was a huge, trade war.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no debate on that.
Yeah, and not only that, but at the time that there was a tightening of the money supply. There was a perfect storm at that time, which created the Great Depression, and the tariffs are part of it.
So what has to happen, Chris? I mean, this is where I think people they don't, like Thomas Sowell says, they don't ask the second question. Like, think about all the things that have to be in place. If you're a company right now and you make stuff, you're a manufacturer. If you don't have a setup here in the United States ready to manufacture, we can put a tariff on imports, or we can lower a corporate tax rate, or we can give tax breaks or whatever, but most American companies are not in a place where they're ready to come back to America and build, because there's as a business, you're going to look at trends. And right now, a 4-year trend of somebody who's in favor of business doesn't bring industry back to the United States.
Well, Ted Cruz's position is the position that I most believe in. It is not some kind of, loyalty to Ted Cruz. It's something that I've been actually written about and talked about for quite some time.
Were you excited today?
What's that?
Excited to hear "Thank Me," the great
Thank
one?
Me. Oh yeah, that was pretty cool, man. I mean, and look,
Ben Ferguson.
I think that the great one, Mark Levin, has been supporting Ted Cruz all along, but he's been critical at times when he needed to be critical. And it was just a matter of time before I actually didn't think he was going to endorse anybody thought he was going to do the Rush Limbaugh.
And what about, Ben Ferguson, another conservative talk show host? What about also Mike Lee?
That was a big one for me. Because I really do like Mike Lee. I think Mike Lee, first and foremost, he is proven to be, through conservative review, the number one conservative in Congress, period. So that was a huge one to me. But back to what Ted Cruz had mentioned in the debate was that we have to reduce regulation to make companies want to come back to the United States. Ted Cruz's position on tariffs is if you're and he was pointing to Trump because Trump said that he was going to punish companies in other countries with a 45% tax or tariff if they didn't behave, quote unquote.
Yeah,
okay?
He's been picking on this one particular air conditioning company
Carrier
that has recently threatened to move their manufacturing
They actually
operations
are
to
moving.
Mexico, right?
They are moving. Okay. So the point is that and what Cruz said is he said it very eloquently. He said that is not punishing those companies. It's punishing you, the citizen, because you are going to have to pay higher prices. You are going to pay for the tariff, which is a tax on us, right? So
yeah, so let's vote for Trump. He's going to punish business and make you spend more. But
see, this is typical. And one of our friends, Tim, on our Facebook group, Lanterns of Liberty, he kept saying, well, your position's liberal. You're just calling names to Donald Trump and this and that, and that's a liberal position. And I'm like, wait, hold on a second. This is when you listen to one show for 15 minutes about how we made fun of Trump's hair or something. How many freaking shows have we done where we laid out the case against Donald Trump?
Right. How many articles have we written?
That's what I gave him. I gave him a search link to our lanterns.buzz website. If you just do a keyword search up top for Trump, you'll see how many times you've written about him. And keep in mind,
how many books have we written? How many? Well, one really good one.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the bottom line is that when you operate on emotion and anger, you will get progressive policies that will come out of it.
Yeah,
okay?
How many strip clubs does one guy have to own?
That's conservative.